Coming up now on Animal Outtakes, it's snack time for Stanley, a grizzly bear who loves watermelon as much as salmon. We're visiting Elmira's Wildlife Sanctuary in Wimauma, Florida. Plus, spring is around the corner, and typically that means an increase in calls about surrendering bunnies. What you should know before purchasing your very own Peter Rabbit. And the fight against a long-standing environmental challenge continues. For the first time, researchers are out battling red tide in real time. This and much more straight ahead on Animal Outtakes. At Elmira's Wildlife Sanctuary, it's their mission to provide continuing care and enrichment for exotic animals in need of a forever home. This true sanctuary is a bit off the beaten path, where compassion, patience, and honesty are what go into caring for their aging population. Founder Robin Greenwood says they recently lost a few of their longtime tigers, but with heartache came an opportunity to give some new lions a place to call home. And of course, we had to catch up with one of our all-time Animal Outtakes favorites, Stanley.
Stanley came to us about 13 years ago. He was just a pup, a cub. He had come to another facility that did not have a bear license, and so they needed to place him. And we had never had a grizzly bear before. We'd had plenty of black bears. We thought we knew all about bears. We didn't. So Stanley has two favorite foods, salmon and watermelon. He is very, very strong. That's a tiny watermelon. If it was a big one, he would stand on it. Now that's how you eat a watermelon. He's not exceptionally huge for a grizzly. We figure about 450 pounds. We try and keep him a little bit thinner because, of course, they're naturally from Alaska and Montana. And so here in Florida, it gets pretty hot. So we try not to get him to bulk up too much. And as you can see, he's got some nice, sleek winter fur. It's not quite as heavy as it would be in Alaska. He also has air conditioning in the summer, and he spends a lot of time in his pool. You know, most people have never seen a grizzly bear or a brown bear. On our tours, we try and educate people about, their natural behaviors. Like, this is absolutely a natural behavior if a watermelon was growing up north. And I mean, yeah, you can grow a watermelon in Montana. That's not difficult. But they are opportunistic. They will do things like, for instance, let's say a black bear climbs up to the top of a tree and knocks down a bunch of nuts and acorns and whatnot. And the grizzlies will just wait down there on the bottom and grab them. They are definitely omnivores. They will eat pretty much anything. But the only meat we give Stanley is fish, which of course is probably their very favorite food. Fish and fruits. The other thing we have to do is go in and clean up that mess, by the way. But no, we kind of keep going because even though there are more protections for animals, and the last year the Big Cat and Public Safety Act was passed, so there's not as much breeding of big cats, and so not as much need for rescue. So of course, we're smaller, but yet the need is still there. And we have a lot of really passionate people that, want to care for animals, not only, in this way, in that they want to be an animal keeper, but they also, want to find out what else they want to do. We have a lot of students who can kind of find out what kind of careers they can have, in the animal business. We have volunteers that have ended up as animal keepers at all the animal attractions, in this area, Busch Gardens and the aquarium and Lowry and, the Clearwater Aquarium and so on and so forth. We also have quite a few people that have, ended up in the vet business. By showing, these younger people the kinds of, the animals, and they love the animals, and they meet the people here who have done all these different types of jobs. And that kind of keeps them coming because they know this kind of experience will help them get a job. And it does. It does. Our people get jobs. We have done some work with him. We've done, a lot of people, it's called operant conditioning. Some people call it target training. And basically, we can get him to do certain activities. For instance, we can get him to open his mouth. So if a vet needs to open his mouth, or to lie down, or to sit, stand up, and that gives people, we can see him. Just like people, he doesn't want to sit around and just be bored all day. Then he would just sit around and get fat. And we don't want that to happen to him. And we have just a small space. So we try and give him things that we know he will play with, and we also try and change him up so it's not always the same thing. We say he has the most soulful eyes, and he has beautiful eyelashes that most of us would kill for. This is Lexi Tiger, and Lexi is 16. She's going to be 17 in August, so a lot of years ago. We did a rescue at a place that was being shut down in Davenport. Lexi and Shonda. Lexi was just a cub, and we actually bottle fed her. So that was the only time we've ever done any bottle feeding of Lexi, and we did her brother Court, who we lost just 3 months ago. And we, unfortunately, the animals have been getting older, and you lose them. And that's the hardest part of the job. But when an animal comes here, they're here for life. We're not gonna give them away or pass them on to somebody else or something like that. We're also, pretty careful to not take more animals than we can handle. Unfortunately, there are other places that like to dump animals, and we try to avoid those kinds of situations. When they get old and they're all of a sudden they have vet bills and everything else. And that's just, we don't do that. I mean, we're here for these animals, and we're here for life. And, if they have a vet bill, we're going to pay the vet bill. And, if they need food, we're going to feed them. And they need space. They don't need to be in these little tiny cages. These are each probably about a 1/4 acre, maybe a little more. Bath and Body Works. We get those body sprays from Bath and Body Works, and they don't have any alcohol in them or anything like that, or oils. And so we use them on the balls all the time. And our male cats were especially fond of twisted peppermint, which is a seasonal thing. All right, we're gonna go visit some lions. So the lions are our newest addition, and the ones that are going to come out are going to be Safari and Ariel, the 2 females. We also have a male named Voss. Unfortunately, they can't all go out together right now because Safari is not spayed yet, and we don't breed animals here. So, but they came to us, they were at a facility in North Florida, and they've been very well taken care of. This wasn't a rescue situation, but it was some people that we knew that had a facility in North Florida, and unfortunately, the owner has been experiencing some serious health issues. All 3 of them, I'm sorry, are about 4 years old. In fact, this is Ariel's birthday. She's the one here in the front with the box, and she turned 4 today. So they aren't related. They're, but you get that, Ariel. Happy birthday! Happy birthday, Ariel! Uh-huh. Happy birthday. Yeah. So they also will chase each other around, but right now, of course, they have to play with the stuff first, because it all stinks. It's got the stinky on it, and that's what we call it. We got the stinky on it. I know, and they're just like house cats, kinda. So they're a lot of fun, and so it's a treat for us because we've been here for a while, and as I mentioned earlier, our tigers are getting older. Our leopard, who we'll go see, she's going to be 21 in April. So to have these youngsters here is just a treat to watch them roll around and all that. And I think that they seem to be, they've been here for about 3 weeks now, and they really seem to have settled in nicely. Hello, Safari. She says, hi, can we play?
No.
Can we play? That really is our main goal over everything. Obviously, we can't give them an African veldt or an Indian jungle or an Alaskan wilderness. But we can, do the best that we can to help them mimic their natural behaviors, and also just give them space to be. That's I don't know. We like the culvert, don't we? Even if it is tiger stripes. We didn't have lions when we painted it. The main thing is they're used to being hand-fed. They're used to be providing food. I don't know if they could hunt even if they wanted to. But the other thing is, if you did that, well, there are wild lions and tigers, and they wouldn't stand a chance. I've heard of places trying to, re-release them in the wild. But I think once they've been in captivity for any length of time, and I'm talking like months, they're just not releasable. All volunteer, nobody here gets paid. The closest anybody gets paid is the vet tech has her mobile home here, and she doesn't pay rent. and she's on our electric, so we take care of our electric. But other than that, no, nobody gets paid. Everybody's here for love and nothing else, Well, hello! Hello, sweet girl, hello. This is Ariel. You can tell because her face is a little rounder and she's chunkier. Get her, get that girl. Hello. How's Ariel, huh? She wants to know what your phone is. The main reason we're here really is for the animals. We're not here for the people. Hi! Hi! So yeah, we're here for them and for making their lives the best possible.
For more on Elmira's and how you can help, log on to elmiraswildlife.org. Coming up next on Animal Outtakes, a word to the wise about purchasing pets this spring. A little bit of research can go a long way when deciding if a bunny is right for you. And later in the show, the battle against red tide is underway as researchers take their fight to the real world for the first time. Welcome back. Spring is in the air, and with that comes the Easter holiday. And if you know anything about animal rescue, that usually means people are looking to purchase pets, like rabbits. The Farmhouse Animal and Nature Sanctuary often takes calls from well-intentioned humans looking to surrender bunnies after the holiday. All because people don't do their research. So here's a lesson in what goes into caring for a pet rabbit.
This is Puffer. He's been living here at Farmhouse Animal and Nature Sanctuary for nearly a year now. He's close to 2 years old. He's a lionhead rabbit, which is one of the smaller rabbits. For bunnies like this, you need to make sure you have to have a hutch that is large enough for them to roam around in. They can't be just in a small little crate. It has to be big enough for them, I'd say at least 4 times their length, and twice their length wide. Most rabbit hutches that are made are perfect size for these little guys. They do need to have rabbit pellets every day, but most importantly, they need to have hay, like Timothy hay, free all the time. That should be in their cage at all times. They need a variety of vegetables on a daily basis, and then fruits occasionally. You don't want fruits every day. He's just going to chill out. He's cracking me up. He is litter box trained, and you can litter box train most any rabbit. Again, just like the ferrets, when their boxes are dirty, they're going to go wherever they want. So you want to make sure you clean that every day. Bunnies can be messy. Bunnies like to chew. If you have them free roaming in your house, you want to make sure you're there with them. You don't want them just roaming around when you're not home, because they will chew on cords and furniture and mark. They will mark like a dog does. So mostly people will tell us the same thing they do with the other animals. We don't have time for them. We didn't realize how much work was going to be going into cleaning his cage every day. And if you just do your research and see what it is to take care of them, they do love you unconditionally, and the reward of having a pet like this is so worth the effort that you have to put in to take care of them. With a bunny, they can do well with other animals. We have several people that have adopted from us that have partnered bunnies with dogs. We have one that partnered with a ferret. So there are different breeds that you can mix them with, but it's going to have to be something that you test out. You want to make sure that their temperament matches. You don't want to just throw two bunnies together or a bunny and dog together and the dog is a prey dog and goes after them. Bunnies' teeth, like some of the other small animals, like the chinchillas, the dagus, their teeth do continue to grow. So as long as they have hay and chew toys, that helps that. Sometimes I've seen where they've had to bring like prairie dogs into vets to have their teeth grinded down because they don't have the proper toys and enough hay to keep them chewing. He just cracks me up. Most bunnies would be jumping all over the place.
Stay with us. There's more Animal Outtakes coming up next. The fight against red tide on the Sun Coast is an ongoing issue, one that affects everything from the health of sea life and humans to the economy. The algal blooms have been around for hundreds of years, and many have tried to make that toxic algae disappear. But the tides finally seem to be turning. Mote Marine Laboratory and its partners recently conducted the first ever field test deployment in an active red tide algal bloom outside of the lab. And there was significant reductions of the toxin producing Corynea brevis cells.
So the Florida Red Tide Mitigation Technology Development Initiative is a partnership with the state of Florida to develop tools and technologies to mitigate the economic and ecological impacts of red tide on Florida's coastal and ocean resources. We are 6 years into the partnership. We're now taking some of those tools and technologies out of the lab and moving those into field development. We're actually out here today on the coast near the city of Venice and near the inlet testing some of those tools and technologies that have achieved all the regulatory approvals and all the testing in the lab-based side of things to actually take those now out into the next step, a canal setting, a marina setting, a next baby step, if you will, checking the efficacy of the product, the deployment, the technology and challenges and hurdles to actually go out in the field and try these in a real-world setting.
A bloom isn't normally a good thing, but we are very excited to be able to have this opportunity to treat red tide at a bloom that's actually higher than any test concentration that we've tested before. And with the natural dynamics that happen in these canal systems and in our bay systems, we're interested to see how well the product will work and how long that effect might last over time.
Clear is a natural plant-derived algicide that we found works on controlling or killing red tide very quickly in the laboratory in the mesocosms. So up until now, we've been working in the lab, doing beaker, aquarium, kind of gradually getting into larger and larger volumes of testing our algicide against red tide culture that we grow here at Mote. And then we took it to our mesocosms, which are 1,500 liter vats or larger areas that we were going to treat the red tide, which we did. And we found still that the clear algicide performed very well in these large volumes. So obviously the next step is we need to go out into the environment and see, does it still work in the environment, and what are perhaps our constraints on how we deploy this product. There are a number of ways that we're going to do that. We're going to do it with liquid, we're going to do it with engineered particles, and we're going to do it with long, slow release pellets that will sink down into the sediments. So this is our first trial with the liquid, and we are treating that canal with the liquid using a subsurface spraying apparatus. We have taken water samples prior to deployment. We are going to deploy the clear algicide and then take water samples 30 minutes later, and again 60 minutes later. We'll take all those samples back to the laboratory and we'll analyze it for the full suite of red tide toxins and also cell counts, which will tell us how impacted the red tide cells were from our application here.
Extreme is a biodegradable plant-based product. It was developed by one of our research partners, Heartland Energy Group, and we found that it is a really great natural way to kill red tide. So we've been doing studies, including flask studies, bench scale laboratory studies, as well as scaling up into larger tanks And we have done a pilot study. In those, we apply very low concentrations of extreme product, and we look at how that affects the number of Cornea brevis cells or red tide cells in the water and how the toxins degrade over time. And so we found that within 4 hours of treatment, it completely eliminates the red tide cells, and after that, the toxins are degraded over time. The partnership with Heartland Energy Group came about because they have had a lot of success in the industry spaces. Their product works really well to kill bacteria and viruses. And when we found out that it was EPA exempt because it is naturally based, and it's not needing pesticide registration because of its proven safety, it also has some proven food safety requirements, and we know that it biodegrades very quickly. And so the safety aspect of this product, along with its previous success in industrial settings, has led us to think it's a really potential win-win for the red tide community.
As next steps from here, we have one other product called Ozonix. We're working with Prescott Water Technologies. Probably the latter half of this month, we'll be looking to deploy that in a similar setting here in canals and smaller areas to see the efficacy of that and the efficiency of those operations. But it will look also for these two products of maybe some additional canal testings, see what the products and results are of today's work, but then starting to look offshore. You're starting to look with a larger deployment, with drones, more measured, more targeted, more technologies to be more specific and better use of the product. The whole initiative is strongly relied on a network of partners. You're looking at the support from the local governments, the cities, the counties, obviously the legislature, elected officials that are providing the funding, the governor's office that has been highly supportive of this, but also just even down here on the beach with the residents of a coastal community such as Venice and showing their support. We're hearing time and again the support for what we're doing to reduce those impacts on their daily lives.
I'm just so excited, and to have this week of pulling things together so quickly and on the fly, it's been just really high energy, and I've been really proud of our teams all being able to come together last minute, and hopefully we'll have some really good news to share that we've made this huge stride towards actually bringing such a tremendous product to the marketplace, hopefully.
For much more on this intensive group effort, you can log on to mote.org. We'll be right back.
Animal Outtakes is produced by Dante's Den Foundation, a nonprofit group dedicated to creating the best life for dogs. If you would like to learn more about Dante's Den, donate, or volunteer, visit our website, dantesden.org.
We hope you had fun and learned a thing or two along the way. And we'll be back here again next week with even more animals and some engaging encounters. Until then, thanks for watching.
Wimauma.
Okay, Wimauma. Wimauma's Florida.
Not Mama.
Wimauma. Yeah, okay.
You said Wimauma's Florida with an S.
Oh, okay. We're visiting Elmira's Wildlife Sanctuary in Wimauma, Florida. Wimauma. In Wimauma. 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 In Wimauma, Florida, where compassion, take it, because it ain't gonna get better. I just wanted to let you know I'm cold. Am I okay by holding this like this?
You can see you're holding a blanket.
Is that better? I'm freezing cold. Okay, fine. Is that better?
Yes.
I'm getting older. I can afford to do this in an active red tide algal plum. I was almost there.
Algal bloom.
Why do you do this?
Is Angel a good boy? Is Angel a good boy? Hello, Angel. Are you a good boy? Are you a good boy? He's a maniac. You're a maniac, aren't you? You're a maniac. Maniac, I know. He likes you to sing to him.